What's up, guys? Welcome back to another weekly Beluga Podcast, where we sift through crypto Twitter and all the happenings of the market so that you guys don't have to. Just like we always do this week, we're going to start it off with a bit of conversation around the majors, Bitcoin and ETH. I've had a rough 2 weeks, not going to lie. I think last week I may have come up and said that looked like ETH bottom was in. As we can see on the chart, that was not correct. But look, I think I'd love to hear Chris's thoughts on this as well. But look, we can see the signs in the stars with ETF inflows trending to zero. We could see the price action. We were having a lot of kind of toppy events going on with the meme coin pre-sales, etc. We were probably due for a correction. Now, the big question on everybody's mind is, are we going to keep going down? Do we go back up here? It's my belief we're about at the bottom. I think the fact that ETF flows flipped so quickly already had a lot of people kind of worried. And then we got news that basically this week, for anybody that missed it, there's big news that Hong Kong was opening up spot ETFs for both Bitcoin and Ethereum. And on the day they opened, everybody's expecting hundreds of millions of dollars in inflows, and they reported something like $6 million, which, look, $6 million is not a small amount of money, but in the grand scheme of a global market is a very small drop in a very small or a very large pond, rather. So people were freaking out about that, understandably. It actually turns out that in Hong Kong, they do their ETFs, their ETF launches a little bit differently. So rather than like in the US, where the ETF starts with nothing in the balance and people, once it's open on the market, people can dump their money in Hong Kong, they actually preload it. So the ETFs actually launched with, I think, an aggregate of, is it in here? Yeah, 290 million in assets between both the Bitcoin and ETH ETFs, which is quite a bit of money. I think Balkunis said his prediction for the entire year of inflows would be about $1 billion. So to get something like 25-30% of that just basically pre-launch is pretty exciting to me.
Totally.
So we kind of have, we had a lot of FUD around the ETF outflows. Now seems like maybe they weren't as serious as we thought they were. We have quite a few really well-respected influencers and traders who are calling the bottom, which does tend to move markets a little bit. And overall, I would say just fundamentally, this feels like a really good time to start buying again. I started myself, of course, not financial advice, but this feels like a really good area to start bidding to me. Not just on Bitcoin and ETH, but across altcoins as well. I guess one interesting thing just to note on this Bitcoin and ETH movement is we saw that alts have been much more reactive to Bitcoin's price dumping than I really remember them being in a very long time, which I think is indicative of just overall market sentiment. Everybody's terrified that they're going to miss selling the top, and so when you get price action like this, everybody starts to dump their more risky things, which means if you think the market's going back up, this is a great entry point for a lot of different altcoins that have just been hammered by this correction.
Totally.
I know one that I was looking at is Phantom, which for last cycle DeFi guys, you might think of as a meme. It is a bit of a meme, but I think it's exciting. But point being, I think there's a lot of altcoins on discount right now, which is an exciting time to be bidding if if you don't let your emotions control you.
Yep. Agreed.
Yeah, I mean, like we probably needed a 20%-ish correction. I think this is likely very healthy for us.
Agreed.
But we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I think, just like you said, Will, everyone has been talking about, oh, in this rally, I'm too late, and, everything I want is too expensive now. And it's like, cool, you're right. And now's the time. It's finally cheap again. And if you were a
Yep.
believer, then you should be buying now, So that's the hilarious thing is now it's like, oh, well, I'll wait till the bottom. It's like, dude, you might not get it. This is it. So I generally
Yep.
agree with you. I think this actually looks fucking great to me. Like I actually thought we were going lower, to be honest, just to clean things out and do a little flush before we resume up only. And this is not that bad. We had FMOC yesterday, right? FMOC yesterday, which comes down a little bit, or like people begin to speculate on that, although less impactful than it used to be, but it's still a thing. And so you can see it kind of dumped into that, and then the minute they announce, we come back up, right? So that's a thing, and so that just kind of shows where that's at. And same with ETH, right? Like the exact same pattern. And actually, Sol's been coming back really strong relative to that, right? Dumped and just came back. So again, I think you've said this before. With way things are, right? BTC leads the way because BTC, that's how it is, right? That happens every cycle. BTC leads the way. And then after that, you kind of trickle into the alts, right? And you trickle into ETH and Sol and, and so on and so forth before eventually you're down at AVAX or wherever wherever else is. And so like, that's kind of where we're going, I think, or at least it seems like that. And so, yeah, like I think I feel pretty good about this right now. I think right now is a time to just be pretty locked in and know what you want and take the coins that you thought were too expensive before and just bid the hell out of them, because I think we are still, if we zoom out even just a little bit, not even that much, this trend is insanely positive still. Like there's no world in which you look at this and say it's bad. I mean, this is a monthly chart, like it's come down a bit, sure. But, 6 months of like up only green candles is ridiculous, so I think we're looking very, very positive still, and it's just all a matter of time. So if you like what's going on here, it's time to bid and get involved. So
Yeah, I mean, I
anyway,
think to your point, one thing we've definitely mentioned it a couple times on the podcast, and I'm sure I've put it in the newsletter at one point or another, but in previous cycles, we see Bitcoin lead, then it stalls out and kind of drops back a bit. The whole time, ETH tends to lag along with the rest of altcoins, and then once that Bitcoin stagnation hits, ETH catches up, altcoins catch a bid, and that's when you have that kind of bull market frenzy that everybody knows and loves. So who knows if that's what's starting now, but that's at least the bet that I'm taking.
yep.
And yeah,
Cool.
well, I think I should also stress that like dollar cost averaging is hugely important in times of choppy markets like this. Nobody can predict where prices are going. You're never going to time the bottom perfectly or time the top perfectly. Don't sweat it. Just average yourself in over whatever time frame makes sense for you with whatever dollar amounts make sense for you. You don't need to FOMO in. I mean, to Chris's point, we've had 6 straight months of only up on Bitcoin. So if you bought at any point over the last 6 months, you have made money. You didn't need to perfectly time the bottom. Don't
Yep.
overthink things and rush into things that you might regret.
Agreed.
Because we got a lot of time.
Yep. And this what happens after halvings anyway, right? Like things chop, things are a bit mixed, and then at some point people realize, wow, there really is less Bitcoin now, and it starts to rip again, And it happens every 4 years for some reason. We're just slow monkeys in front of a computer, and it's still a thing, So that's
Yep.
where it's going to be, and that's what's going to happen. So, I think you should appreciate the chop now. The longer, the better. The deeper, the better. And you're going to look like a genius, and you'll be laughing to the bank in a couple months when things rip again. So, anyway, um, so go ahead.
I guess just while we're talking about overall marketing conditions, we can't just move past CZ's. I mean, I honestly think we might be in a simulation, but CZ's sentence, he was sentenced just this week, I think 2 days ago, received 4 months in prison as his jail sentence. For anybody who's not caught up on the CZ Binance lore, CZ has been saying 4 as like a anti-FUD measure for, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, something like that. For him to now get 4 months in prison as his sentence just feels like fake. It feels like somebody wrote the script for this, and now we're just seeing it out in front of us. It's so funny to me.
Just an absolute gangster, you know. Good for him, you
Like, it
know. I'm
just
looking for
can't be
this
real.
tweet. It's just hilarious. I don't know what the tweet is anymore, but the CZ4 image is just perfect, you know, like
Oh,
just an
so
absolute
good.
legend. There's got to be some tweets here. Yeah. Yeah, this exactly. So he tweeted this out such a long time ago and with zero context and zero explanation. And nobody's ever known why. And it's become a meme. And for him to get 4 months, I mean, this is exactly it. You know, like him to get 4 months in jail is just incredible, you know. So good for him.
It's poetic. It really
Yeah,
is.
exactly. Gensler's just seething somewhere, you know.
I mean, just
So
unreal.
so just hilarious. Very hilarious. But you know, shout out to CZ and Binance. But um, anyway, lols is 4 token. I should have known. But moving on, you know, talking about new things. Put it this way: like, Will, do you think this has any impact on the markets? Do you think this impacts Binance in any way? How do you think? How do you think this actually plays out for
Um,
the rest, or does it not matter?
yeah, I mean, I think this is largely a nothing burger. I would have preferred CZ not get jail time. I realize he's probably guilty of every single thing they charged him with, but like I think in the grand scheme of crypto market calculus, he's done a lot more good than bad. Um, I'm actually really impressed that they've managed to go through all of this. The SEC coming after them relentlessly, CZ having to step down, going to jail, etc., all without any issues or risks or even really tangible rumors of like customer deposits missing or anything like that.
Mm.
So yeah, look, I don't think he really deserves 4 months, but I think it's just not a big deal at the end of the day. He even said it himself. He put out a tweet on the day of the sentencing, just saying that he's going to serve his time. He agrees with the sentence, and he's been really into education. He started, I'm forgetting what
That's
the name
right.
of it
Yeah, yeah.
is, but he started that education company that he also mentioned in that tweet as being excited to get back to working on that. So yeah, I think he's fine. I think he's going to be a constant presence rather here anyway. Um, and I just don't think it's that big a deal.
Yep. Yeah. Like you said, it has been remarkable to see throughout all this no real drama. Because actually, the truth
Yeah,
is, for every major crypto company, for the most part, right? Not everybody, but a lot of them, especially the ones not in the US, right? Coinbase has been fine, right? And
yeah,
some of the Americans have been okay, but like, especially ones outside of the US, you get a little bit of poking and prodding, and there's just a surprising amount of times where it ends up being some nonsense behind the scenes, you know? And
yeah.
like, usually it comes apart quickly. And for the biggest one with the most amount of eyeballs on it and a lot of FUD, you know,
Mm.
they've come out completely unscathed so far and just done a good job. So, I mean, again, like, finance has done a lot for the industry in general, and CZ himself as well. So, again, should he deserve 4 months? I'm with you, but all things considered, you know,
I mean,
not
like
the
he
worst
did the
thing.
crimes. Like he did do it for sure. Like let's be real. But he's done a lot of good things too.
Yep, totally. Cool. Well, maybe moving on. New things. New drop of the week. Um, the big thing here is obviously we had a big token drop the other day.
He's back.
God damn it! So, Will, do you want to talk about Eigen a little bit and
Yeah.
tell us what Eigen is, what's going on, what happened?
Yeah, so Eigen, for anybody who has not heard the name Eigen thrown around over the last, I think people have been talking about this for probably a year or two now. But Eigen is basically the largest restaking protocol for Ethereum. And that might sound like an initially confusing concept because how can one token be staked in two different places at the same time? Those are questions that we tend not to ask very deeply. But I would say Eigen does seem to be, more legit than most others. The idea is a lot of people are staking their Ethereum already to earn, call it 4 to 5% yield on their tokens, which goes towards securing the network itself and validating transactions and all that good stuff. Eigen's idea was, hey, what if we can take those staked tokens, use them to actually secure other blockchains, And in doing so, the people's whose tokens that we take from the Ethereum staking pool will actually basically double up on their yield, because now they're earning from both Ethereum as well as the other chain they're now securing. So cool idea. I think they've amassed something like, I actually don't even want to guess. It's like 10 to 15 billion dollars in TVL. So to put it lightly, this was a hugely anticipated airdrop and has been for a while. A lot of people putting big money into farming this, and this week they finally announced both the airdrop itself as well as the tokenomics and their broader white paper. I'll give my initial thoughts on the tokenomics itself, and then I'll talk about the white paper quickly. Um, Initially, everybody was pissed because essentially they gave people a much smaller allocation than people were expecting. It looked like many people who had been farming it via the use of another app may not even get their tokens. People thought that they were going to be locked up for a while, and there was a lot of general FUD. It now seems like the first two parts are kind of okay, but nobody knows when Eigen tokens are getting unlocked still. There's actually, if anybody's heard of the app Polymarket, it's a prediction market application. There's a gamble going on right now about whether CZ will get out of prison or Eigen will be transferable first. I think the odds are like 50-50 still, which is funny. But yeah, to basically to sum it up, people were not happy, and it seems like a lot of the unhappiness came from like a misunderstanding and misinformation. The biggest problem is these tokens won't be transferable for a while, and I think after the duration people have farmed this for, that keeping their tokens locked just really rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. Um, I didn't farm it that hard myself, so I don't really have a dog in that fight. I'd probably be pissed if my tokens were locked, so I get it. I will also say the thing that like really pissed me off about all of this is they had the audacity to then drop a 75-page white paper about fucking restaking. Nobody read it. Nobody understands what they're saying. And then they go out on Twitter and they say everybody's like ungrateful for their airdrop and everybody's just being a whiny brat. Like, do you not realize your entire business has been entirely built on people farming your protocol for this token? Like, I get it. You can maybe say they don't deserve it. Like, maybe you could somewhat make an argument for that. But the fact of the matter is, your protocol doesn't exist without these users and without their capital. You would have never gotten anywhere near where you are today without your users having been tricked, basically, into thinking this will be some hugely profitable thing. Which, look, not every trade works out, for sure. And there are worse things than what is basically a low APR yield farm. But I think a lot of people were really pissed about this, and I actually think that this lowers the bar for a lot of other token launches just because of how poor the sentiment is. This
Yeah, and I
is,
think,
I
like you
think, the
said,
fifth like shitted on airdrop in the last 2 weeks or something. Like everybody is screwing up right now, which means the bar is just significantly lower for somebody to really crush it.
yeah, agreed. And just like you said, I think when the thing that also pissed people, I think you mentioned was like you could deposit from anywhere, right?
Oh
And
yes, yeah, yeah. This
you
was
weren't
another
VPN
thing.
gated, right? Another thing is like
Yeah.
there was no VPN gating from a deposit standpoint, but actually claim your airdrop, excuse me, was VPN gated and like aggressively gated, right? So it's like half the world you couldn't do it, and they also made sure that it's not just VPNs, right?
Yep.
Like you couldn't just VPN. Like they made some extra. They made sure extra carefully that you couldn't claim if you're from these places. You could just like hit a quick simple VPN. So I think that part to me is a bit sus and like a
Yep.
bit sketchy. Is like you shouldn't be able to deposit because that's why it very much feels like they're farming the users versus the users farming the chain, farming the protocol. And I think that's a fair comment. And I think that's, in my opinion,
Yep.
there's a lot of things that were it's just FUD, right, and just mistakes versus like, in my opinion, a more categorical error, which I think that counts. So
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you.
yeah, but
I think
Smokey
it's
had this
like
hilarious
honestly
tweet.
ridiculous.
You know, that said, Eigen's secret weapon is actually the 5 literature and etymology PhDs in Sterling's basement. So,
Yeah, what was
so
the intersubjectivity? Was
yes,
their big word. What the fuck does that mean?
intersubjective work token. You
What does that
know,
mean?
I don't know,
Like,
dude.
it's a
Oh
token,
god.
guys. Relax. Just give us a good airdrop. Nobody will complain. You'll make more money. It's that simple.
Eigen's always been that way because Sriram's he's got a bit of an academic background, right? So always had
Mm.
this style and this flair to it, but it is just hilarious. Like, you know, like you said, every single one's been botched recently, you know, and everyone thought Eigen was the savior for ETH, you know, and
Yeah,
so far we'll see. Anyway,
so
um,
bad.
hilarious. Well, also in new things, you know, talking about another angle that could be interesting is where is it? Friendtech. Maybe Will, you want to tell people what's going on with Friendtech and why this could be an interesting resurgence of
Yeah,
what's going on and
so
just what's happening?
Friendtech, we've probably talked about it. We've probably talked about it on the pod before, but Friendtech was really the first big app on Coinbase's layer 2 called Base, way back when it launched, probably almost a year ago now. And I guess maybe a little less than a year. Friendtech is basically what they call a SocialFi app. I kind of think the term SocialFi is stupid, but we'll go with it for now because there isn't another one. The idea with Friendtech is basically you can buy these shares or keys of different people on Twitter. And once you've purchased one of those shares, it puts you into a chat with both that person as well as everybody else who owns one of those keys or shares. It's kind of a stupid concept, I think, at first glance, but the idea of moving from like paid discords and paid groups and that kind of thing is really big in crypto. And the sad fact of the matter is a lot of them are just total scams. So I think the idea of having some way to get exclusive access to people whose opinions are like actually respected was a cool idea. So Friendtech popped off for a little bit. Honestly, it wasn't even really because of the app itself. It was more because Paradigm, which is one of the largest VCs in crypto, led their round, which Paradigm is known for massive airdrops. So as soon as everybody saw that, the farming really like went out of control. Unfortunately, the app itself kind of sucked. So after 3 months or so of people farming it, activity and users mostly died off for a while, and they've now come back and said they're finally doing their token, and uh, people are expecting this thing to drop at like $1 billion, which for an app that I think a month ago, if you had asked most active crypto traders, if you had asked them, is this thing dead? They would have said yes. So anyway, Friendtech has now come out and they're doing their airdrop today at time of recording. And they're also releasing their V2 of the platform. They've got some interesting stuff actually. So 100% of the token supply is actually allocated for the community, which I don't think I've ever seen an app do that before. So that's exciting. Um, Although they're not doing it in a straight airdrop, you do have to work for it. Basically, they're requiring people to provide liquidity, and then you can stake that liquidity, and you get more tokens over time as a distribution mechanism to make sure that not everything gets dumped immediately. Um, who knows where the token's going to go? I think this is a really cool experiment. I happen to like the SocialFi niche quite a bit, so I'm excited to see where this goes. I didn't farm Friendtech enough, but still excited for my airdrop. The other one that I've been like more involved in, honestly, is Fantasy Top, which launched yesterday. It's another SocialFi app on the Blast layer 2, which I think you could argue at this point in terms of like bridged TVL is what top three Ethereum layer 2 networks, and it's probably up there in terms of networks in general. Um, Fantasy Top is basically if you took like FIFA Ultimate Team or any of those sports-based trading card games, and instead of athletes, you used crypto influencers on Twitter instead. So it's like kind of a stupid concept, admittedly, and like I probably paid way too much for my cards, but I think it's exciting, and I think they did something like 4 million in revenue yesterday on their first day, which is pretty damn impressive. So I'm excited to see where this one goes.
Yep. I think
I
it's a
think
good idea. It's
the first
hilarious.
big tournament should start on Friday, so about when we upload this, I believe.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a killer. It's awesome. These
Mm.
things are always hilarious because, and there's like virality baked into it, right? Because it's about people, people are, the sort of main characters of Twitter are involved, so it's always hilarious to see these things happen. We haven't seen one work yet. It's always a flash in the pan. But we'll see where Fantasy Top goes. And cool. So maybe shifting gears then, we can talk a bit about our clown of the week. We've got two here, but Will, maybe do you want to talk a bit about IONET and Shirkelly?
Yeah, so we could actually argue we've got two clowns here for the price of one. Martin Shkreli, for anybody who doesn't recognize the name, went to jail for a couple of years for raising the price of insulin arbitrarily high and basically just cornering the market there. And it was a huge scandal. Went to prison for it. He's now out, and he's a big crypto guy, which I guess I shouldn't be surprised by. All the scammer types tend to come to crypto. But the funny thing is he's been calling out this project, or I guess it's a blockchain, maybe not technically a project, called IONET, which I believe is like a decentralized compute kind of deepen type blockchain. They raised a ton of money from, I think, pretty respected names. And they've been telling all these people, all their investors and everything, that they have something like 300,000 GPUs already set up and running that people can use. They've got all these bullish stats going on. Well, turns out none of that is actually the case, and seems like it actually may be only a couple hundred GPUs, which is obviously orders of magnitude lower than what they've been telling investors. So this has blown up into this big scandal. We haven't really gotten a resolution yet, but the IONET guys have been making statements back against Shkreli, which honestly I've read, and it seems like they're just speaking bullshit. I think they're guilty of all of this, but it's just funny because I think if any other influencer had come out and done this, people would have taken them at their word, but because it's Shkreli, like everybody immediately just didn't believe him. So it's taken a bit longer for the pitchforks to come out, but IONET is just getting fudded into the ground right now.
Yep.
Would definitely recommend staying away for anybody watching this video later on.
Just hilarious. And then
So
maybe
funny.
last clown of the week right here.
That's come back a little bit, actually.
Has come back a little bit, but for folks who don't know, fucking hell. For people who don't know, last week we talked a bit about Renzo, which is a new liquid staking protocol, who had released their tokenomics, and the whole thing went to shit because they tweeted out a horrible pie chart. And actually, the funny tweet from Sisyphus was that seeing the Eigenlayer white paper, there was no pie chart in there, so Renzo just ruined the pie chart for every new white paper. But we can see after the Renzo launched their token, it has gone down only since then. So it's been not great for them, and just shows you how quickly you can fuck things up when you're trying to be dishonest.
Yeah, they had $3 billion in deposits. I mean, all they had to do was not fuck their customers, and lo and behold, just like 80% of the other apps in the space, they decided to fuck them.
Oh god.
Yeah. Okay, it's still at 3 billion. That's actually surprising.
This is not right though, because I remember I saw a chart.
That can't be right.
I saw a chart that had a huge drop down to 1.
Well, you can't even withdraw yet, right? That's why it's still up there.
Oh god.
I don't think you can withdraw your ETH. you can swap the Easy ETH token, but you can't actually withdraw your ETH, as far as
That
I
must be
know.
it.
That was those were the depeg troubles because it was all reliant on on-chain liquidity.
Right.
Not great.
Nope. But
Hey, I mean,
these
like I got a decent airdrop from them, honestly. Like I
did you?
sold it instantly, and I have not looked back.
Oh, that's funny. Good. Cool. Well, I think that's
All
it for
right.
this week. Do you have anything you want to tell the Anthony Shill for the week, Will?
You know what? I'm just gonna stick with shilling Bitcoin and ETH. I guess you know what? No, I'll say specifically I'll shill ETH this week, because that's what I'm focused on right now. I'm very excited
Nice.
for EVM ecosystem over the next couple weeks. How about
Yep.
yourself, Chris?
You and me both. I'm sticking to majors. Still doing
Yup.
BTC ETH, and forgive me. I also put Sol in that category, so I'm doing all three at the same time. Of
Gross.
course, in different sizes.
Yeah.
But those are three that I consistently still buy, and so we'll see where it goes. But cool. You want to take us out, Will?
All right. Yeah. Thank you everybody for tuning in, and we'll be back next week with another episode. Take care.
See you guys.